Right. So last week we spent some time learning how to take derivatives, differentiate functions, right?
Yes.
And we got through the power rule for single term. We got through differentiating any polynomial, and then anything that kind of looks like a power. That's as far as we got, right? And then we also talked about evaluating derivatives at a particular point. Any questions on that stuff? Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to find points on a curve that have a given derivative. Okay, so finding points with a given derivative. So finding points with a given derivative. So graphically, what I mean is, like, suppose I have a parabola that looks like this, right? And I'm trying to find a point, like over here or something, that has derivative -5, or something like that. Okay? And I want to find the coordinates of this point right here, x, y. Okay? Well, if I knew what the equation of the parabola was, we could do this. So let's say I said this function has an equation f of x equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. And we're trying to find the point on that parabola that has a derivative of -5. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're just going to say, well, if this slope is -5, this is equal to f prime of x, right? Well, we can figure out what f prime of x is because we know how to do that now. F prime of x is just 4x plus 3. Any questions on how I got that?
Nope.
And so I'm just going to set this equal to -5 and solve for x. I just want to know when that derivative is equal to -5.
Okay.
So this ends up being 4x equals -8. So x would be -2. So the only thing that's missing now is the y coordinate of that point. I know the x coordinate is -2. How can I find the y coordinate?
Plug it into the original equation.
Yeah, that's it. So the y coordinate, y, is f of -2. So this would be 2 times -2 squared plus 3 times -2 minus 1. So this is 2 times 4, 8, minus 6, minus 1. So 8 minus 7 is 1. So the answer would be -2, 1. That's the point on that parabola. And you have to give the x and the y coordinate. Make sure you do that. Don't just give the x value. That's the point on the parabola at which the derivative is equal to -5. Does that make sense? Let's try another one. Did I scroll too quickly? Good. So let's try another one. How about if we have something like f of x equals 2 radical x. Find the point at which f prime of x equals 1/9. So again, graphically, we know what 2 radical x looks like. We don't really have to know what it looks like, but it's helpful sometimes to just visualize the situation. So 2 radical x looks like radical x, which is half a parabola. It's just a little bit taller, so it kind of goes like this. All right, so we're just trying to find the point at which the slope of that tangent line is 1/9. Right? So I'm going to take the derivative. So this is really 2x to the 1/2 power. So its derivative, f prime of x, would be 2 times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. Then the 2 half cancel. So this ends up being 1 over radical x. So 1 over radical x equals 1/9. That means radical x equals 9, and x is 81.
Okay.
So the y value would be f of 81, which is 2 radical 81, or 2 times 9 is 18. So the answer would be 81, 18. That's not too bad, right?
Yep.
Now, sometimes you might get more than one answer, though. Like, for example,
Go for it.
suppose you have f of x equals x cubed plus 6x squared plus 10x minus 1. And f prime of x equals 1. So we know what cubic functions look like generally. They kind of look like this generally. So doesn't it make sense that we might get two answers at which f prime is 1? Like maybe there's a point here where the derivative is 1, and there might be a point over here where the derivative is 1, right? So it's possible that you might have more than one point where the derivative is a certain value. So you just solve it the same way. Like if I solve this, if I take the derivative here, I get 3x squared plus 12x plus 10. That's the derivative of f. Set it equal to 1. So now we just have a quadratic equation that you have to solve. So it kind of makes sense that quadratic equations sometimes have two answers. So we're going to get two answers here, maybe. So I'm gonna subtract 1, put this in standard form. 3x squared plus 12x plus 9 equals 0. What do I do next if I'm solving for x? Yeah, a common factor. X squared plus 4x plus 3. And then the stuff in parentheses just factors pretty easily. It's going to be x plus 3, x plus 1. So then x equals -3 or -1. So now you just have to find the y coordinates for each of those points. Okay, so this is x, then f of -3 would equal -3 cubed plus 6 times -3 squared plus 10 times -3 minus 1. So this ends up being -27, and 6 times 9 is plus 54, minus 30, minus 1. I would totally mess up if I tried to do this in my head. So
Yeah.
maybe you too. This would be 27, minus 30 is -3, minus 1 is -4. So one solution is -3, -4. Now you got to find the other y coordinate. So f of -1 is -1 cubed plus 6 times -1 squared plus 10 times -1 minus 1. -1 plus 6 minus 10 minus 1. This is 5. Minus 10 is -5, -6. So the second solution is -1, -6. That's it. There's two solutions. Let's do one more. How about this? F of x equals 1 over x squared. And f prime of x equals 2. this is really x to the negative 2. So its derivative, f prime of x, is negative 2x to the negative 3, which is negative 2 over x cubed. Any questions on that? Set that equal to 2. And then solve for x. How do you solve that for x? How do you solve this equation for x? It's like algebra 1. How do you solve a proportion? This is a proportion, right? Cross multiply, so you get 2x cubed equals negative 2. Then what? Divide by 2.
Deceptively easy.
Yeah, this isn't that hard, right? This is a pretty easy equation to solve, I think.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then you find the group.
Cube root. So x is the cube root of negative 1. What's that?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Now you just find the y value. So f of negative 1 would be 1 over negative 1 squared, which is 1. So the answer is negative 1, 1.
Okay.
Okay, that's what this homework's like. They'll give you a function, they'll give you the derivative, and you just have to find the point that satisfies that. Any questions? Okay, the homework's on Delta Math, but make sure you notice it says due Monday, even though Monday is Memorial Day. So if you use your class time wisely like you always do, then you won't have homework over the weekend. But don't like come back to school on Wednesday and say, oh, I didn't realize the homework was due Monday because it was a holiday. Think of it as like classwork if you don't like the idea of doing homework on a 5-day weekend, which I don't. So just do it like before
Do
that.
it the day before, as it is.
Can you scroll back up?
Yes, of course. How far?
There.
Wait, so we
Okay.
have Friday off and then
Yeah.
Monday and
Okay.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So the homework is due Monday. All right. I'm gonna stop recording.